Hey, I'm Jake from TradeLab.ai. Today we're going to be talking about global variables. Global variables is a feature in TradeLab that allows you to save information, and you can actually share that information between strategies. What that basically means is you can send information between your different strategies and they can talk to each other. So let's say that I want to set up a new strategy, and instead of doing a combo template like we might normally do, combo templates allow us to trade long and short at the same time. So even though this says short right now, depending on what alert it hears, this can change over to a long, right? So that's what a combo template is. It does long and short within one template. Here, we have a long and a short template separately. So if I were to copy these and just have them be separate, so I have my long, I'll go back over and I'll copy my short as well. Now let's say that I have both of these and I want to make sure that if one is open, we don't want the other one to be open. Okay, there's actually a couple ways to do this, but I'm going to show you how to do this with global variables. So the first thing I want to do is go into my global variables tab on the left side. And what I want to do is make sure that if one of those strategies is open, that the other one doesn't open. So the global variable that I'm going to make is going to be called in trade. Okay, and maybe if I'm doing this for BTC, maybe I would say BTC in trade. And I can put spaces in here to make it look nice. So I'll say BTC in trade, right? So that's my global variable. And I'm going to make this a true false because it's going to either be in a trade or not in a trade. So true false. Okay, you can also make it a number or a string. A string would be like letters. So I could say, hi, my name is Jake, right? And that's a string. And then you can compare that. You could set a field and then you can compare that later in your rules, right? We're going to compare true false. So I'm either going to do true or false, and I'm going to hit the checkbox here. We don't need read only. We're actually going to change this. So read only would mean that you can't change the value, and we are going to change the value. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll hit save here, and that's going to create us a global variable. So now let's go to our My Strategies. And we're going to make sure that whenever one of these two are open, that the other one doesn't open. Okay, so let's do that. We'll hit edit. And normally we would set up our strategy. So we'd hit do it now. We would go through this process. We would go through our alert setup. If you want to set up a David Tech strategy, we do have a tutorial video on how to do that. You can watch that. It'll be linked in the description. All right, so the goal here is that we're going to set our global variable that we just made to true whenever we enter a trade. So if we scroll down, we can see that we have an entry rule that is an enter long. So this is a rule that runs when we're not in a trade. And this rule looks for a alert that is a long entry alert. And if it hears that, then it sets up a whole bunch of information for our take profits and stop losses. And at the end, it places an order. So this is the actual rule that's triggering the order. Okay, and what we want to do is we want to add an extra action to it so that we can set our global variable. We're going to set, so I scroll down, I created an action, I'm going to hit set strategy, or actually we're going to do global variable, right? So normally in a lot of my other videos, I use strategy variables, and that's the variables that are up here. You can create variables that are per strategy. Global variables are shared. You only create them in the globals, and then you can see them everywhere. So the global variable right here, BTC in trade, and we would set this to true. We set this to true because we're entering a trade, right? And so we're going to set that to true. And then to make sure that we don't enter a trade when the other one is in a trade, we want to add a condition. So we'll press plus right here for condition, and we'll check our global variables, BTC in trade, and we'll check if it's equal to false, right? So it has to be false in order for us to place our order, okay? And when we do place our order, we're going to set it to true. So after we enter a trade, we're going to be running our exit rules. And at that point, our BTC in trade should be true. And once the trade is over, we want to make sure that we set the BTC trade to false so that we can enter the next trade. And so to reset that global variable, we'll go to our exit rules and we'll add an action. The action will be set global variables, BTC in trade, and we're going to set this to false when we close our order. Okay? And we'll do the same thing over here. So this is our break even. That's fine. We'll still be in a trade when we break even, but here's our stop loss rule. So whenever this is hit, we'll go ahead and set our global variables BTC in trade to false. So that's resetting this, right? And so now, whenever our long here's a entry alert, we have to make sure that our BTC in trade is false. If it is, we'll go ahead and enter and we'll set it to true. Then whenever we exit, we reset it back to false so that the next order can enter. Okay, so with that done, we can also go to our short and do the same thing. So the short, we would set this up, go through the setup process, and then we would quickly add our condition and alerts. So the condition here, once again, is global variables BTC in trade is equal to false. And then we want to set for whenever we go to place our short trade, we'll set our BTC in trade to true. So now we're in a trade, and we need to go ahead and reset that. So we just need to add an action in our exit rules to set our global variable BTC in trade to false. And we'll do that down here in this other rule that does a close order as well. So global variables BTC in trade to false. And that is an example of how to use global variables. Global variables can be used in many, many different ways. You can send information, you can send messages, you can share what a strategy is doing. You can also keep track of 3 or 4 different strategies and what state that they're in, and then have other strategies react to that. So global variables are pretty powerful. If you have any more questions, you can always join us on Discord. To find us on Discord, you can go down to the bottom right, this help button, and you can type in Discord, and there is a link to our Discord right here. How do I join the Discord? There it is. Okay. If you don't want to use Discord, you can always still send me a message by hitting Create Support Ticket, and it'll send me an email, and I'll email you back. Okay. All right. Thanks for watching. TradeLab is free, so if you want to give it a shot, just go to TradeLab.ai, and you can make your own trading bots for free, and you don't need to know how to code. So if you have any more questions, let us know. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more updates, and have a good one.